since we were talking about music very quickly, the vocal style is normally accompanied by harmonium, tanpura, and the tabla. And right, and I'm curious as to about the harmonium. The way I enjoy listening to it, and I don't know if that's the right way because I'm reasonably new to listening to classical music, is that I notice that the harmonium tries to follow the vocal uh, singing part, and it is a joy for me to when I see that the harmonium player is immediately almost able to get exactly what you are singing.
Right.
Is that the way it's meant to be? Is there a different way to listen to the harmonium? What should I be looking out for when listening to a vocal piece along with the harmonium and the tabla and the tanpura?
Yes, as far as the vocal performance goes, of course, the main is the performer, who's the vocalist. When he sings, he has accompaniment. Major accompaniment is the tabla and a harmonium or a sarangi are usually used. Now they are using violins also. But that's a different conversation. But harmonium, they try to follow. First, for being a harmonium player, you need to have a good sense of classical music or ragas, at least have some basic to good knowledge on the ragas being sung. Because most of the times the harmonium player is also using his own sense or his own understanding of the raga to follow a musician. And slowly he has to also understand what's going on in a musician's brain or head, or the vocalist's brain or head. So he has to follow exactly. Not 100% is not expected, of course, but he needs to be as close as possible. And when given a chance, he also plays solo for a bit or plays his own part with the tabla, like an extra special piece.
And this is generally all improvisational. Right?
This is all improvisation. This is not written or anything. But a harmonium player usually revolves around the thinking of a vocalist. His scope of playing or creating something is based on what the vocalist is singing. So he cannot, play something which is not supporting the main vocalist.
Okay.
Even the tabla player, or he is also being accompanied. They are meant to support the vocal musician.
I see. And the tanpura, is that just for creating a reference? Is there some? I just love the sound. Just listening to the sound of the tanpura, it makes me takes me in a state of meditation.
Exactly.
Is there what's the reason for the tanpura?
It's a similar state. Because for singing, for a vocalist, you have to be in a state of composure and calm, right? And tanpura, facilitates that. It helps that to a great deal. Helps you to focus on the musical piece that you're about to sing, and it carries you through the whole performance. And that's the major factor why a tanpura is used.
I see. So, just a curious question: is the tanpura also tuned, or is it always in tune? Most instruments are very sensitive. I've seen people tuning their instruments for a long time. And in fact, there's a very funny thing that I saw on YouTube where Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Khan, they tuned their instruments. This was, I think, in the US somewhere. And the audience was all, I think it was Woodstock or something like that.
Right.
Audience was all American. And they tuned for 5-10 minutes. And everyone started clapping to their tuning because they were totally unaware of what was going on, but they even enjoyed the tuning part. And Pandit Ravi Shankar said, "Oh, if you enjoyed the tuning this much, I'm sure you'll enjoy the actual music." So, is the tanpura also tuned, or is it always somehow set.
No, tanpura has to be tuned.
I see. Okay.
Fortunately, in this culture, Indian music, tuning is given a great importance. Your instrument, of course, your voice has to be tuned. All the earlier riyaz and everything is basically majority is focused on tuning your own instrument. Half of your life goes by and you can still not tune it. That's something which requires a lot of practice. And similarly, every instrument is given a lot of importance before playing, especially when it comes to tuning. You're not expected to rush that part because that is important.
Yeah.
Once a perfectly tuned instrument is in your hand, then you can do wonders with it. Otherwise, you will always continue to struggle during the performance. If it gets out of tune, it would be a distraction, and eventually the singer or the vocalist also is not comfortable with that kind of tuning.
Yeah, that brings me to this question I've always had, and if you ask any common person about Indian classical vocal music, they often, if you ask them what is it about, and they'll go, it's all about right? And so what is that? I know it's called Aka. What is the essence behind it? Why do we do that?
The essence behind or akar, of course, the style would be alap, that slow progression. But the tone of why we use it, is because that's the most natural and honest production of voice. Because when you say you are actually utilizing all of your to your full potential. Your instrument is used to your full potential, and there the note is the purest and honest. They say, and of course, production is more open. It's louder. It's more clearer. Everything is more better when you sing in That's why when we are trained initially, we are encouraged to sing in akar. They say more. Of course, others are also important. They're if not less, but they are equally important too. But akar is something which has been used for ages, as a means to really sing clearly in a loud manner.
I see. Okay. And that also brings me to this curious question that I've always had is about things like tarana and nom-toms. I came across this term recently. I didn't know about nom-tom. It's such a cool name, nom-tom. But these are sounds that every now and then the classical piece has. Dheem, teem, tana, nana, all kinds of sounds which don't make any sense, at least to me. I don't know if they have any meaning or not. And but they make a big impact. I enjoy listening to those. And I got reminded of one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs. And I did a little Googling about it. There's this song, Mama Se Mama Makusa.
Okay.
Actually, this was not the name of the song, but he just keeps singing this part, which didn't make any sense. It's almost gibberish. But that's all I remember about the song. There were other lyrics to it. I think the song was called, I forget now the name. Anyway, so I've forgotten the main song and the lyrics, but these strange sounding name expressions which don't mean much stayed with me. Is that something similar?
all these things are not, they don't have a meaning, but they definitely, the sound is very sweet, and they are coming out of that actually. They are definitely musical sounds.
Interesting.
That's why when you put them with the notes, it becomes more interesting rather than just lyrics, which have a more different meaning. But this is more of an abstract kind of a, because these sounds are more of percussive nature that you hear.
That's right. Yeah, they are discrete sounds.
They're discrete sounds which you get out of different instruments. Mostly it's tabla, pakhavaj,
Right.
and some dance also.
Nice. Interesting. Yeah. Let me also ask a little bit about, you were mentioning about alap. So I know that there's 3 sections to a full piece. So there's alap, am I saying it correctly? Jod or jod? I don't know. And jhala, isn't it? That's like,
Yeah, alap, jod, jhala, that's more for instrumental music.
okay.
For sitar, or
I
if you are performing in Indian classical music on an instrument, then you would perform alap, jod, and jhala, mainly for sitar or other stringed instruments. That's how they progress.
So it's different in vocal then?
In vocal, it's different. It's, of course, you begin with a shuru ke alap, or a different, like a short 2 or 3 minutes, or maybe 4 or 5, could be even longer. And then there's the main composition, or a slower composition, or a bada khyal, they call it, set to a slow beat cycle. In that you improvise, you sing alaps within that time cycle, like a slow improvisation, slowly and slowly go to the antra, then you have alaps for the antra, or the
If you
stanza.
don't mind explaining what antara is.
Antra is basically a stanza.
Okay. So it's
Stanzas.
the prose part.
Yeah, sthai is the chorus.
Okay.
Sthai is the chorus, and every composition, when I say a bada khyal, it has a slower movement, has 2 parts. One would be a sthai or a chorus, and an antra, which is a stanza. And basically the artist is improvising that within that same composition.
And the improvisation, since we are talking about it, is different variations of sometimes the same line. I have a funny incident here to recount. I was driving from San Diego to Bay Area with a friend, and this was late at night. And I was enjoying the classical music. I've started listening to it fairly recently, and so I really was enjoying it. But anyway, so there was this song that I was playing on Pandora, it went "O Miya Jaane Wale," the song of Miya Jaane Wale. And so it was from my understanding Papa. And she kept going, Miya Jaane Wale, in different styles. The same 2 or 3 letters were repeated. O Miya Jaane Wale. I was enjoying it, completely oblivious to what my friend was doing, or I was just enjoying my song, and my friend was sitting next to me in the seat next to, and I was driving, and all of a sudden he says, "ये मियाँ जाते क्यों नहीं?" So I remember that, and it's going to stay with me forever because I found it really funny. And it's so true that the same line is repeated, the same little section, or is repeated so many times. But I think they're all slightly different in terms of the way it is expressed.
Yes.
And could you tell more about these variations, or is there a name term for it, or?
No, that's the whole beauty of Indian classical music. Even that's one single line can be sung in so many hundreds of styles, hundreds of ways. And that same Miya Jaane Wale, that performer, whoever was singing, was actually trying to express it in different styles, and it's all extempore. They're creating that time, and singing it in a different style. So, of course, that Miya Jaane Wale has a very emotional significance also, and they take that part out of it and sing it in different ways, in different styles, and bring out more from that same line. And just like different designs and patterns, okay, this is one pattern, now I'll draw a better one, and it's a challenge for the performer to even try and better it every single time.
Okay.
So it's basically all creating, improvising, and designing. It's if somebody enjoys that, because he's thinking at that same time, yet has to be presentable and beautiful.